Good evening, Canby. Welcome to our work session for the City Council here on July 19th. We're here to do a work session to discuss the City Administrator recruitment process. We have representatives here from GMP to take us through this. So we've got a full slate of things we got to get ironed out so we can start this thing. So I'm going to turn it over to the fine folks at GMP. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'm Bob Larson with GMP Consultants. I'll be the lead on the recruitment and the search for this. And with me, I have Kate Hansen from the firm as well. Kate's a mainstay. She's the office manager of sorts, but she does much more than that. She helps out quite a bit. We also have Brenda Gavitas, who helps with some of the aspects of the search, as well as Sarah Marsh. Sarah primarily does the profile development. She drafts those for us. I really appreciate being here. We're delighted to be awarded the contract. We're looking forward to the recruitment and the search and helping the mayor and council members in the community find a new city administrator.
Perfect. I'll let you just kind of take us through your outline that you sent to us so we can,
Be delighted to do that. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
The second item on the agenda is the recruitment schedule. We want to review the process, the timeline, the key dates. And when I say key dates, Kate will go over this, but we don't have those obviously exactly right now, but we can give you a general idea of each stage, how long it'll take as far as number of days and weeks. But go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you all for the opportunity to be here. The overall process that we follow is about a 13-week process. That's our goal for moving through this. So the first major phase that we have is that profile development. And we figure that's a 1 to 2 week phase usually, where you folks can collect the information that we need from you, and we will get that to Sarah, our content designer, and she'll pull that together and then come back to you folks for approval with that. Then, after that's approved, we will go into advertising, and we will push that out to our network, as well as a variety of job boards to get the broad exposure of that. And we will have that out there for advertisement for about a month, and then collect applications and go into our review period. So about week 8 of this overall process, we will go into our first review, where Bob will review all the candidates and select those that are most qualified and best fitting for you folks to do semifinal interviews with. And then once those interviews have been complete is the next phase, where we'll really need some time and attention from you folks. We go into our work session to review all those semifinalists, and that's where you will choose your finalist candidates to move forward and do those in-person interviews with all of you folks. So that work session, which usually happens about week 10, is going to be sometime where we're going to need a chunk of time to block out where we can meet with all of you. So just in looking at schedule calendaring wise, that'll be something we'll want to kind of cross-check your availability for there. And then we will have a 2-week process of prepping for those final interviews, and then we'll do those final interviews. Week 13 is our usual timeline for that, but again, we may need to adapt that based on the availability of your group and who needs to be able to be attending those. So that'll be the next in-person phase. And so that work session will plan out all of the details and what you folks want to have as a part of that final interview process. So that's kind of the overall arch, and we'll have here, as we can fill in those actual details, we'll have a full schedule with all those dates that we lay out in there that you guys can have as well.
Part of that profile development is I will be interviewing the mayor and each of the council members who are interested in being interviewed. We're going to talk about issues like, why would somebody want to apply for this position? What is it about Canby, the organization in the community, that would attract candidates? We're looking for ideal candidate traits, and being council members and the mayor, you've obviously observed your city administrator, as well as perhaps your key staff, and I'm going to ask you about, what are some of the key attributes you'd like to be looking at as far as a candidate or candidates. Organizational culture is very important. We want to make sure that the candidates are aware of that. They'll be asking questions about it, obviously, and so we want to be able to provide information in the profile that explains some of that. And then the opportunities and challenges, that's the item I've got listed under 3A. What's the city administrator, on top of obviously the day-to-day, what can that person be expected to have to address in the first 3, 6, 12, 18 months? with the mayor and council? What are the key issues you folks really want to be having that person look at, in addition to the regular day-to-day operations? In addition to that, we would like to have a designated staff liaison. I'll be that person. Kate's obviously going to be right there with me on our side, but we really need one key staff person or two that we can obviously correspond with. They can help us with the scheduling with the mayor, council, potentially, key staff that you'd like to have me interview. But we really need someone that you could feel comfortable with and trust in strict confidence if we need to obviously to talk about certain issues and or just make sure the council is well informed to a person. And we can certainly take care of that later, but I want to make sure you're aware of that. That's very important and vital as we do these searches. I don't expect the mayor or any individual council member to be that person, but a key staff person is very important.
So, Bob, as we're going through these points, if we've got some of these answers already, do you mind if we just answer those for you so you got them?
That'd be fine, Mayor.
Okay.
I'd really appreciate it.
No,
Sure.
that's fine. So I know that Maya's kind of got sketched out some key dates that, for the process. Do you want to throw those out? And at least I know that it's a thumbnail sketch of the dates, correct?
That's for the names.
Oh, that was for the council vacancy. Oh, never mind then. Forget it.
It's okay.
However, I still think Maya would be the point person.
Well, actually, it's probably going to be our new HR director, is the point person.
True, yes.
So, and remind me
Fresh off the press.
our name of our new HR director. I'll put you on the spot.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's
So the new HR director who's officially coming on here on Monday, the 31st, will be the point person.
Okay.
Our city administrator is planning on applying for the open position, so she's really going to be kind of removed from the process until we get to a point where maybe we're depending on where she ends up in the mix, and then I suppose Maya would probably be the backup person to the HR director, and she is also the one that kind of keeps the council on the rails. So,
Good.
which is a hard job to do. Yeah, no kidding.
Yes.
So, hopefully, so the key date piece, I think we'll kind of we're obviously looking to try to move things along.
Yes.
The whole adage of slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I don't want us to be, knee jerk in how we do the process, and we want to make sure we get enough time to get the applicants we think that we would like and that would like Canby as well. So.
Absolutely, yes. So we've gone on over recruitment schedule, which is item 2. Item 3 is profile development. I covered most of that. We'll obviously get the checklist to the HR director, and we'll copy Maya on all those. The interviews for the profile development, I will obviously send this in an email form, but we'll need the names, the titles, the phone numbers, and the email addresses of obviously each mayor and the council members. But also, along with that, is there any other staff that you'd like me to interview? And the reason I'm asking, to me, it's an opportunity for the key staff, to see the senior staff, the department heads, to at least have an opportunity to be interviewed as well. They can certainly add benefit to that profile development. They can certainly add benefit to the process. And I find that having those folks involved, it really makes a difference for them as well. And I hope you're okay with that. But if you're not, I need to know that up front so we can avoid any confrontations or issues for staff.
I think you get the nod from us on including all of the directors and reaching out to all of our directors here at the city to talk with them.
Okay. Are there any other senior staff that are not directors that you'd like to have me entertain as far as interviewing? It'll be the same questions, but it just is obviously an added opportunity. But if there's not, that's okay.
Yeah, perhaps probably, Maya in that mix as well. Maybe, I'm trying to think if I know Chief Tro, obviously being the police chief, you talk to him, but is there anybody on the police force that we should
I would
include?
suggest possibly talking to the union steward, the union representatives.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I would say if you're talking to Chief Tro, you would want to include all the directors in that, we wouldn't want a single.
Right, no, yeah, that's what I said, yeah, so all of our, so,
Right.
yeah.
If you
Finance,
said that,
Public
I
Works,
missed it.
that's okay. You just came back from Columbus, I get it.
It's technically 10 o'clock for me right now, so I apologize.
And then the other potential group that you may want to have me consider interviewing would be, sometimes the communities want to have their board and commission members, for instance, the chair of each of those. I don't know if you're interested in doing that. They sometimes have good insight as well about the community, and they certainly can add benefit to it with the profile development.
Yeah, I would say that would be a good group, is to each of the different committee and boards.
Okay.
The chairs to those. I would also throw in, our fire chief here in town, who is actually sitting here on the dais right now, so it could be a 2-for-1. Those are always
We
good.
might have a representative of the fire district who wants to.
So that could be it too. I would say the Chamber of Commerce.
Belinda Goody.
Okay.
Probably Rotary. Like if we're gonna, I would really like to see citizens involved in this process as much as possible. So I don't know if you want to cast it out to like Rotary and
Kiwanis.
the Canby,
Canby Center.
the Canby Center and those folks,
The Canby Adult Center, which is,
Canby Adult Center.
yeah, so the Canby Adult Center would be Kathy Robinson.
Asian cultures.
The Canby Center would be Ray Keene.
Okay, Canby Adult Center, Kathy Robinson.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. You mentioned another one,
Then there's the Canby Center,
Canby Center, okay.
and that would be Ray Keene. He's the executive director there.
You happen to have I can find it, Ray Keene.
Keene, K-E-E-N,
Okay,
like the shoes.
got it, yep, okay. Chamber of
Chief,
Commerce.
Counselor Davis?
Also Carol Sullivan from Canby Utility.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yep.
And then I would also recommend Dr. Downs from Canby School District.
The Canby Utility was
Carol Sullivan.
Carol Sullivan, thank you.
And
The
then,
superintendent,
yeah, the superintendent.
okay. And I didn't catch his name.
Dr. Downs.
Downs, okay.
Yep.
Yes, Maya?
I was just going to mention, I'm happy to send these contacts and names.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
And did you get the Chamber of Commerce, the new director for Chamber of Commerce on there? Okay, great.
Any other stakeholders that chamber gets covered, but then when we get into the interview process, one of the things we've done in years past, Bob has been, so yeah, there's interview with the council, the directors, and then there's usually a citizen kind of panel of some of those people that we just mentioned, but also other community members as well.
Are you getting ready for the final?
Yeah,
final
that
straight?
can kind of be a part of that as well, so.
That's great.
Yeah, yes. Council
Bridging
President.
cultures.
Sorry, you did say that. Yeah. Bridging cultures would be another one, Maya, that we would include in that. And unfortunately, I don't know the chairperson for that off the top of my head. Do you know, Jason?
I can't remember her name, but
Okay.
I've met her a few times.
And then Canby Kids as well.
Canby Kids,
Canby Kids.
okay.
And that is Chantel Harney.
All right. And then what I do with those, when I do the interviews, I obviously try to capture the major themes, and then I put that obviously kind of into an essay, if you will, but then we get it off to our staff, Sarah, and then I tell people when I interview them, by the way, that I'm talking to them in strict confidence. So if they want to reveal something to me, just so you're aware of that. If anybody asks you about that, why I would do that, it's just so they can obviously feel a bit more open about discussing with some of their concerns that they might have, or their opportunities, or their ideals, or their goals for the community. So sometimes helps.
No, perfect.
Right. Good. Anything else on the interview piece? We got quite a list. Thank you very much. I'll get right on it. It may take a little bit longer in 2 weeks to get all these folks captured, just by the way. So
No worries. Yeah, I mean, Canby is a very involved community, especially on a lot of different fronts, both community organizations and on the business front. So you're probably going to get a lot of information
Very good, appreciate it. Then the recruitment strategy, we've got item A, the target audience. And obviously, I want your input as well on this, but we were looking at potentially the city managers and city administrators of cities up to 30,000. I believe Canby is roughly about 22,000 in population. So that would tend to be, depending on their level of experience, somebody in that, it's an arbitrary number. It could go a little higher. Obviously, we may get candidates from larger cities, and we'll certainly entertain those. But we will be sending out individual flyers to the, looks like probably, and we'll be looking at assistants and deputies from larger organizations, and potentially communities about the size of Canby, depending on their sphere of control in that organization. If they're a deputy and they've got oversight on a few departments, that obviously would speak well for them. But and then we're also looking at most likely the 14 western states, but we can go a little bit further if you'd like. Obviously, this might attract attention and interest from a much larger audience. We could go obviously to parts of the Midwest and other areas too. We don't have to have restricted. For instance, we will be obviously advertising with International City Management Association, so that's a much broader audience, and we might capture some of those folks. I would expect that if they're good candidates, you would like to see at least, have me review their application and consider them as well. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily limited to, I think as you advertise to those larger, the more national organizations,
Right.
I wouldn't say that we're opposed to having those that apply be considered.
Okay.
I think one of the unique things with Oregon that can be a bit of a challenge for those that are not in the Northwest is understanding our land use laws as a whole, and even the pieces that have changed here in the last, I think, 1 to 2 years that have been done down at the state. So, the last recruitment we did, we had a couple of candidates from Texas as an example. So I think we might be open to that. Is there thoughts on that at all, or?
No.
Okay.
Good. Yes, when we send the ad list for ultimate approval, you'll have a chance to see that. But we'll go. I think with ICMA that covers the nation, but then we also look at individual state organizations and the associations that are out there. The cities association, like the League of Oregon Cities and others like that. They also can draw much better attention sometimes because not everyone's a member of ICMA that are city manager and city administrator. So we'll focus on that. But,
Okay.
look forward to that. Good. Anything else you have?
No, no.
I think that covers what we had in mind to talk to you folks about. We certainly can take questions on.
Sure.
I have a question. So in your I've kind of quickly jotted down the weeks here, the trigger weeks. Where does what week or in what part of the process does the applications coming in close?
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, once we have the profile developed, now that could take anywhere from whatever it takes. But once that's done and the ads are ready to go, then we take about 30 days for a first review. We keep it open until, obviously, it's filled, but we certainly would be looking at it roughly about 30 days from the start of that process. So once we send, you'll get, Maya and the HR director will get a notice from us, and obviously she'll share it with you folks that the recruitment's been launched, as an example. And then from that point on, you'll look at the calendar or the schedule we'll provide you, and it'll be roughly about 30 days from that point. We try to focus on, because of the applicants or the candidates, generally because if they're working, they obviously have to get you the stuff in the evenings or weekends. We give them probably through a Sunday evening, and then we start reviewing that next Monday that's closest to that 30 days. It might be a little bit longer than that, but generally try to give them the full 4 weeks plus.
Okay, so essentially at week
Okay.
Yeah, week 8.
7 or 8 is
Week
when the
7 or 8.
closure happens.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that we had talked about when we initially sort of moved forward with this process was sort of cascading the search for the city attorney at a certain point, at a certain trigger point in the search for our city administrator.
Right.
And judging by these sort of weeks, it almost sounds like it might make sense around week 8 or 9 of this process, like after the city administrator portion of this, of taking applications closes and we begin the review process of that, that might be a good time to start looking at building the profile for the city attorney position and then starting to get that ad ready to go out so that before, like a couple of weeks before that closes, we have picked our city administrator. Does that sound reasonable?
Well, I'm going to ask, that's a good question for Bob and Kate, like, in terms of staggering that, like, what do you suggest in terms of where in this timeline do we begin the city attorney search?
Can I ask a question before he answers, just for legality purposes? What we've noticed is our city administrator recruitment process. Are we allowed to talk about the city attorney recruitment process? Because that hasn't been noticed, so I don't know if we want to get into that discussion at all at this time.
Well, I think we talked about it together when we did our last work session, did we not?
I believe we did.
So I don't know.
Noticed as both.
I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to bring up, just to be safe.
Well, he does make a good point, but that puts a little consternation in my stomach because that was one of the things that was key to a couple of members of council, was that we move this forward together. And I think it's unfortunate that that is being missed out on, so.
Well, I don't think there's a problem with asking about a simultaneous start date.
I don't.
I'll just put it on the record that I'm leery of having that conversation.
Okay. Well, we'll table that for the moment and maybe circle back to that piece. I'm not,
He's checking now to see if it was included last time as well. Just on the safe side.
And I will just say, as far as schedules go, broadly in general, absolutely, we can send you kind of the breakdown that shows what's laid out kind of one week to the next. That will be visually then easier for you folks, I think, to see how much you would like to stagger things depending on how much overlap you may want to have once the city administrator is in.
okay. Yes, Councilor Davis.
You know, what Jason was talking about, I think if you build that, if you can also build the city attorney timeline so that we can see the city attorney timelines along with the city administrator, just so we see when the start date is and what the process is going to be for that.
I can tell you for our purposes, we originally were thinking, and this has nothing to do with the mayor and council here, I think, but we were looking at least a 30-day lag between the two searches, at least 30 days. I think you folks know that hiring a city administrator is a very important role, huge obligation. Same for the city attorney who will be reporting to you folks. Trying to do those simultaneously might be difficult given your amount of time. I have to be interviewing for two different profiles. So
Well, and, you know, again, it's the compatibility of both, so, as well, you know. Yes, Councilor Davis?
Back to your outline here. Now, how are you going to develop the profile? Were you going to ask us, or were we going to do it through talking with those people that we gave you?
I will interview each of you, and then I'll also have the names and contact information for these other folks. Yes,
Right.
the department heads and the other key stakeholders. I will interview those folks. I will ask generally the questions, the ones I mentioned, the issues about why would somebody want to apply for this position? What's the ideal candidate traits they see in a city administrator? What's the organizational culture like, according to how they feel about the community and the organization, and then what do they see as opportunities and challenges?
Would it be possible to email us those questions?
Oh, yes.
Before you meet with us?
Yes.
Just so we can give some thought to it.
Thank you. What I generally do is before I even contact you folks, I'll send an email saying, here's what we're going to, I'm preparing to start interviewing, just so you can have a heads up. And then I try to fill in a matrix that might suggest a day and a time that's at your convenience that I can talk. 'Cause, if I just try to cold call everyone, that would be very difficult for those folks as well. So I'll try to work with the HR director. I will work with them as well as Maya in trying to find a day and a time that works best for each of you. And generally, I try to set aside about 45 minutes so you can appreciate how much time it'll actually take if if the person wants to use that much time to talk about some of the things they want to talk. And there'll be a few other questions, obviously, as you start having a discussion, that the other things might come up for you folks or for the other key stakeholders that may be interviewed, so.
Okay, thank you.
So Bob, in the last 8 to 12 months, with the economy being what it is and the job market being what it is, what are you seeing in terms of availability of quality candidates right now?
It's getting better.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for city managers, right?
Yeah, 8 months ago, for instance, I had a search similar to this one out in Mountain Lake Terrace. It's a northeast suburb of Seattle area. We were expecting a much greater, stronger pool. We got excellent candidates, don't get me wrong. We had, I think, upwards of 20, though. So there's a reluctance coming out of, I think it was a combination of coming out of COVID and just some other factors out there that there was some folks that we generally would have seen applying just weren't going to make the move. They were comfortable with where they were at. They were trying to obviously get themselves resettled, if you will, coming out of COVID and some other stuff with the economy. The key factor, though, is obviously we sold that job. The community sold that job. Mountain Lake Terrace sold that job because it's a great opportunity. I see the same thing happening for Canby. You've got a great organization. You've got a wonderful community. And candidates are going to look at that. They're looking for quality of life when they're doing this work. I think that'll help quite a bit.
My other question, speaking of quality of life, in our city charter, it is required that the city administrator live within the city limits of the city of Canby, so that might be a key question as you get into the interview process with, candidates that may want to move forward or that we think or you think that are going to make that the infamous GMP binder that you'll bring to us with the candidates, that they understand that that is a requirement for the job.
Okay. That'll come with obviously other considerations that you'll have to address, which would be relocation costs. So on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
right. Yeah.
I think my last question is will you also do a salary recommendation as well?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll do that immediately. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll talk to Greg Prothman, who obviously is the owner of the company, and get some sense of what we think based on salaries in the general area here.
Okay.
We definitely want to start out on the right foot.
Oh, yeah.
With the profile, making sure we have those things covered.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Bob and Kate?
Just one, the requirements, whether it's educational requirements, certifications, anything like that, you typically will make recommendations on those?
Yes. Yeah, when it comes to city administrators and city managers, you're looking for the quality of the experience they have, and we would have a minimum requirement for that. I can't say offhand what that would be, but it's going to be a minimum of 5 years of direct experience, I would expect, either as a key department head or a key deputy who has oversight for those areas that are important, or as a city administrator, city manager. And there might be other candidates that have, I'll call non-traditional experience that I think are worth looking at as well. They may not necessarily come through as a top candidate, but some of these folks that we saw, for instance, from Mountain Lake Terrace, well qualified. Obviously, knowing the lay of the land is critical, and if they don't, understand and appreciate the land use laws of the state of Oregon or Washington, or they don't understand the complexity of a city charter, those types of things, they can get up to speed rather quickly, but they sometimes can get out of their depth pretty quickly as a candidate versus the others. So, but I think it's worth, you'll see those as well. I'll give you obviously a good account of all the candidates, and for those who wouldn't necessarily pass our screening, I will explain why, but I also will present to you what I think are the top semifinalists as well, so you'll have an understanding of that. So.
Great. Any other questions or thoughts right now? Yes, Councilor Patton.
I would just like to make sure that we include some discussion and emphasis on the equity and inclusion of this candidate, and that we are pulling from a nice diverse pool of folks from across the U.S.
Thank you. I'm glad you're stressing it as well. We think that's very important, that those things are considered. And during the interviews, obviously, if that presents itself as one of the top or key issues, that'll certainly be in the profile. I'm not saying it won't be in the profile, but I want to make sure we cover as many of the issues that are coming from the mayor, council, as well as the key stakeholders and department heads as quite possible. It's sometimes very difficult to put all that into we try to make it no more than a four-page profile, but we can, put a lot of information in there. And that's an important consideration, but don't get me wrong, obviously, I think it'll come to the top, as it usually does in these searches. So.
Thank you.
Any other, what questions are we not asking that we should be?
That's great questions. That's really good. I've got, yeah.
I can't think of anything else.
Looks like we've,
Go back to the salary, just as an example. In certain cases, it's obviously the total compensation package, so depending on how flexible the mayor and council might be about some of those things, we can do the salary review, but that's just one of the many elements that you have to consider. You have to look at deferred compensation, for instance, but looking at the total package as he presented to the candidate. Sometimes the salary is not as important, but obviously we want to make sure we have a salary that's substantial enough with the benefits that can attract top quality candidates. And right now the economy being what it is, it's we've noticed that several cities have had to adjust upward on some of those things. We'll do the review. I won't obviously draw any conclusions at the moment, but we're working that right away.
no, I know that'll be a big piece for sure. Okay. I think, do you have everything that you need from us right now?
I do. Kate?
Yep, I think I have everything we need.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll follow up. We'll schedule and additional information over to Maya for distribution to you folks, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
There is one other piece, and I'm not sure if this council's interested in doing this, but I will just put it out there. Sometimes the council will have a group of less than seven, or excuse me, less than a majority, who can oversee, for instance, some of the key elements, for instance, the schedule. Is that something that all the council members or the mayor want to look at and agree upon, or is that something that, maybe a committee of three could do? Some of those things they can be quickly dispensed with as far as, getting approvals.
Knowing this group, and I will speak, and I guess if somebody wants to tell us otherwise, yeah, the group would want to see them.
Good, very good.
Yeah.
That's what we need to hear. That's our marching order. We have no issues working with that. Thank you.
Yeah, most of that, yeah, anything that we're talking dates or finalizations of things or whatnot, then, yeah, that would probably go through Maya to get out to us, so that then she's the one that we respond to, and individually, I might add, so that then she collects all that, so, yeah.
Great. As an example, obviously, we'll send you a copy of the schedule. We'll send you a copy of the profile, a draft, so that each of you can review it. And then collectively, you can decide how you want to, if you want to make any changes. Individually, you can do that, or you can do it as a group, depending on what's in there and what we might have not included, or what you might want to get still included in there. So.
Okay.
Good.
Great. Well, thank you both for coming here this evening and getting this process started. I know we've been anxiously waiting to get this going, and so we're yeah, this is going to be a big piece for us for sure. So, yeah, if you need anything, please, reach out to Maya, and she'll make sure that she gets those answers that you need.
Appreciate that. I also want to recognize Maya and other staff who've been most helpful with this. Maya in particular has taken up the reins pretty quickly here and helped out. So thank you very much.
No, she does a great job. We're glad we have her. So, okay.
Very good.
Well, so the next step really is developing doing the interviews and then developing basically the profile. Okay.
Yeah, and it sounds like based on the number of stakeholder interviews to be doing, we may be slightly more than a 2-week turnaround for getting that profile done. So that may, when I was doing just a little bit of initial looking, if we give ourselves 3 weeks for that profile overall timeline, that would maybe look us doing final interviews that week of October 23rd. So, but I'll get this over to Maya and we'll start working with your folks on collecting the profile information and doing the stakeholder interviews.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you both. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah, have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you, too.
That will conclude our work session.
But I thought,
Council vacancy process.
the city council vacancy.
Helps me to look at my agenda. Ay, ay, ay. Let's talk about the city councilor vacancy piece. So Maya, you have some tentative dates.
Yes, Mayor and Council, some tentative dates. I was looking at the possibility of posting the vacancy tomorrow, July 20th, and having applications due August 11th, and then having the interviews due on the interviews held on August 16th, and potentially an appointment on August 16th during a regular council meeting, and as well as swear in on August 16th, potentially maybe even on a special meeting August 30th, depending on your preference.
So the 20th of this month. To post tomorrow, close it on the 11th, and then interviews,
The interviews on August 16th, along with an appointment during the regular meeting.
okay,
And possibly a swear-in as well, or we could do the swear-in on August 30th as a special meeting.
okay. Council President Hensley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am absolutely fine with that timeline. My only caveat is the swearing in. I think, given it is summertime and whatnot, I don't even know if we need a special meeting. Maybe put it up to Judge Graff. If he can do it the 16th, great. If not, is there a reason why we need to swear him in before the first minute of the first meeting in September? Him or her?
That sounds correct to me. I don't see any other reasoning. And I was also planning to check in with the judge who's swearing.
Yeah, I'm fine with any of those dates if that works with the judge. I would actually prefer to not have a special meeting for it myself.
Same here.
Okay.
All right, so 7:20 post, 8:11 it closes, August 16th interviews and selection, and then September 6th for the swearing in. Is that,
Or the 16th if it works better for the judge.
Well, the one thing about the 16th is if we're doing the interviews and the selection, I'd like the opportunity for the families to be able to be at the swearing in too. And so if we don't select, nobody's going to know who's selected. That's why I think doing the swearing in September would be better, so that the families, and so that we can make it a little more participation from the family and friends of that person that's being selected too.
That's a good point. Plus, judge would have to sit here through all the interviews because he wouldn't know when to be here to swear in the new person. Let's scratch the 16th and just ask him to be here on the 6th. Now that we fleshed all that out.
well, and here's the other caveat to you guys, is that we don't know how many people are going to apply. Right. And if
Right, we could be interviewing all night.
right, and if it's a regular city council meeting and interviews, so in previous appointments, there has been 2 nights of interviews. So I would say let's also be flexible for the 17th. I know is that Fair Week?
It is.
Fair and Rodeo Week?
Yeah, it is. So how about just the 23rd, following Wednesday? As I think most of us have kind of just, Wednesday's not a day on our calendar usually, at least not mine. I don't plan anything on a Wednesday.
Councilor Davis?
Suggestion, what if we did a work session and just started the work session at 5, did it from 5 to 7, and not make a decision, but then come into discussion at the council meeting to do the selection? That way we avoid having a special meeting. That gives us a couple hours.
Well, we can also block out the whole,
Yeah,
we can also block out that whole council meeting just to do that.
sure.
At least for now, and then if we get 3 applicants and I can always layer in other items for
Do we have
the
anything on the
agenda.
agenda already?
I'll have to meet with Eileen and talk to her about that. There's a lot I could put on the agenda, so.
Well, I know, but I was just wondering if there's anything, I mean, obviously, we don't have any second readings for that day yet, but I was just wondering if there's anything already slated for
Not,
presentation or anything like that.
not really that far out. I mean, everything's fluid at this point, so.
Cool.
So, all right, well, Eileen and I will work on the agenda as we get to that, and we'll see how many applicants we have, and if it takes up, if we've got, more than 6, we'll block out the whole evening for interviews and discussion. If there's less than that, then we'll see if we've got bandwidth to add anything into the meeting of substance.
I will just say, if someone thinks about this, it probably, if there was thought of maybe extending things into the 17th, that might not be a good idea, because that is the next meeting of the comp plan group. And so I would prefer not to run in with those folks.
I agree. Thank you, Jason. Any other thoughts or discussion items on that? Let me double check my agenda to make sure we have everything. Looks like we've completed our work session agenda for this evening, so I'll adjourn our work session, and we'll be in recess until city council starts at 7 PM. Thank you, Canby.
Very good.
Good evening, Canby. Welcome back to the Kansas City Council meeting. Now we're going to take care of our regular business for June 19th. If you please stand for the invocation and what did I say? June, sorry, July. I'm getting my time machine. Stand for, proclamation, invocation, and presidents. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this great community that we live in. Thank you for the amazing weather, great people, and the leaders that we have up here on the dais as well as throughout our community. We ask you to protect our men and women, first responders. When we move into fire season, please keep an extra eye and care for our firefighters and EMTs. I ask these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A quick agenda kind of change. We have added a proclamation to this evening and kind of came in here in the last day or so, but it's fitting. The proclamation is for the Wastewater Utility Appreciation Week for July 17th to the 21st. So whereas the COVID pandemic continues to linger in our lives and low-level rates of infection, hospitalization, and death more than 3 years after it began, and whereas it is a good time to acknowledge and recognize the many heroes of the state's response to the pandemic, healthcare workers, public health professionals, vaccine providers, nonprofit organizations, pharmacies, and laboratories. And whereas one group of warriors whose work remained largely inconspicuous during Oregon's pandemic response was the 40 wastewater treatment facilities across the state that helped the Oregon Authority and local public health departments track COVID-19 transmission. And whereas through the efforts of countless wastewater plant professionals, from plant operators, maintenance personnel, laboratory workers, industrial pre-treatment works, engineers, and administrators who collected, sampled, and transmitted important data that posted on OHA's COVID-19 data dashboard to measure the level of prevalence and transmission of COVID-19 within Oregon's communities. And whereas OHA and OSU have piloted the use of wastewater influent to track other diseases such as influenza, RSV, and cryptoporidium, and created a disease tracking method that is now essential and promises to pay dividends long after the COVID pandemic ends. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Canby, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas, in the state of Oregon, do hereby proclaim July 17th to the 21st is declared as Wastewater Utility Appreciation Week in Oregon, and I ask that every person in Oregon to join me in recognizing the contributions of our wastewater facilities and professionals to Oregon's public health system, dated this 19th day of July 2023. So thank you, Maya and Eileen, for getting that. It's a big deal when we talk about our water infrastructure from a wastewater standpoint, and even the ability to just turn on the faucet and water comes out. So definitely a big piece that does not get a lot of recognition until it goes down and you turn on and look for water and there is none. So appreciate that. Next up on the agenda is citizen input and community announcements. Maya, do we have anyone online for?
No, we do not.
Okay, and I don't have any yellow cards this evening right now. So we will move on from that and we will move into the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, before I read the motion, I have a question. Maya, do we know when we're going to have these a little more caught up? We're still running 2 months behind on these minutes, and we happen to go back, at least I do, go back through my notes to make sure that the minutes are accurate. It's too hard to recall 2 months ago.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the answer. I'm happy to reach out to our person that helps with that, but I can certainly get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda that includes the minutes of the May 3rd, 2023 regular city council meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made by Council President Hensley and seconded by Councilor Varwig to approve the consent agenda, which include the May 3rd, 2023 City Council regular meeting minutes. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes 5-0. Next up, moving into ordinances. So tonight's ordinance is ordinance number 1606, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into a contract between the City of Canby and Barry Elsner and Hammond LLP for interim city attorney services up to $149,999 and second reading. So we did this our last meeting, and that was just a discussion with our city attorney. Moving on was to just extend our contract with Barry Elsner and Hammond, who was already with us. So this is really just an extension of that process. Anything to add to that at all?
Don't you hate it as much as I do?
Yes. No, I have nothing to add other than just recognizing that David Duffman is online tonight. So wherever he is with us tonight.
There he is.
There he is. Yes.
There he is.
Oh my gosh, look at that cascading effect. That is very interesting.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, David, for dialing in. We appreciate it.
There were so many Davids.
There were. Councilor Varga?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance 1606, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into a contract between the City of Canby and Barry Elsner Hammond LLP for interim city attorney services up to $149,999.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Varwig, seconded by Councilor Padden to approve ordinance number 1606, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into a contract between the City of Canby and Barry Elsner and Hammond LLP for interim city services up to $149,999, and a roll call vote.
Councilor Patton?
Aye.
Councilor Maldonado?
Aye.
Councilor Garwick?
Aye.
Councilor Davis?
Aye.
And Council President Hensley?
Aye.
That motion carries 5-0.
Mayor, the only other thing I will say on that topic is that, from time to time, tonight was an obvious agenda. The agenda is very light. But with your permission, there may be times where the agenda is light, where we may just have Barry Elsner and Hammond online rather than here. So I'll just, judge the agenda and based on what's being discussed, whether they can continue to just call in or whether you want them here. So we will just manage that on a case-by-case basis.
Sounds good.
Well, and I'm sure that they prefer dialing in if they don't have to fight the traffic to get to Canby. So, perfect.
You're not wrong, Mayor. You're not wrong. But that's okay. Either way, whatever works for you works for us.
Well, I drive that home every day, and I so love I-5 and the Boones Ferry Bridge.
Scenic Oregon.
Sure. Okay, moving into old business is the city administrator recruitment process. We had a work session this evening on beginning that process. So the GMP consultants were here and presented to the council kind of the timeline that they think the process will take. The first piece, so they think the whole process will take roughly about 13 weeks to do. The first piece that they're going to do, there was conversation about the stakeholder interviews, and so we did provide them with some local organizations and leaders of those organizations to help create the profile that we will then send out and hopefully use as a recruiting tool. Is there any other comments or questions on that we?
I think we pretty much covered it all.
Yeah. So stay tuned for more of that to come as that process moves along. New business. is the city councilor vacancy. As many of you know, Councilor Varwig has tendered his resignation, and this evening is his last meeting with us at the city council. And so I'm sure more to come on that here in a little bit. But with that, we discussed a little bit at our work session some dates and whatnot. And so in terms of beginning the process, so we're going to post the position on our website tomorrow morning or tomorrow at some point. And then all applications or resumes for the position will be due Friday, August 11th by 5 p.m., correct?
5:04.
That's correct.
Perfect. And then interviews for the appointment process will be held at the city council meeting on August 16th. So Eileen and I will work on the schedule, hopefully, depending on how many people apply, how long that we think that will take. We'll either just dedicate the whole agenda to that process, or we'll see what we've got and layer in city items if need be. And then on September 6th will be the swearing in process. So if you're interested in applying for the open city council seat, please watch the website tomorrow to see the posting for that and apply for the position. I think that, am I leaving anything out? Does that timeline work for everybody still? Okay. Moving into mayor's business, there was no Clackamas County Coordinating Committee here at the beginning of the month, so I don't have anything to report on that, but I will here in August. There is also no Area Commission on Transportation, and that's going to be meeting in August, so I'll have more then. I want to say thanks to Joan Monin and Wild Hair for Hairfest. It was 3 days of like great music and super hot weather, but it was a lot of fun, and I appreciate what that event has meant to Canby businesses and Canby in general for the last 11 years, so thank you to them. To mark your calendars, August 25th, we kick off Canby's big weekend with the Big Night Out. So there'll be a street party here downtown with live music and tons of vendors. And then that's also, like I said, the start to the big weekend, because then on Saturday is the Cutsforth Car Show. And initial approximation of the number of cars is somewhere around 700 are anticipated for the car show. Yeah, it's a big show, yeah.
It's a deal.
So please mark your calendars for that weekend. And then finally, two more pieces, and that is Slice of Summer is underway. So there are Sunday evenings in Waite Park. They opened it up this past weekend with, is it the Willamette Valley Big Band?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and so check their Facebook page for other dates coming up. And finally, I am doing this reluctantly, but I just wanted to present Councilor Varwig, since tonight is his last meeting with us. Plaque just saying that this is presented to Sean Varwig in recognition and appreciation of your service on the Canby City Council and Urban Renewal Agency, and for your untiring dedication and commitment toward the betterment of the City of Canby, 2019 to 2023. Sean, thank you. I appreciate the love for our city that you have, and I appreciate the time and effort that you've put into it. I understand the decision to make family first. That's an important piece. Been grappled with that myself over the time, and so I understand where you're at. And I appreciate most of all the friendship that you and I have created out of this crazy ride being here on the dais. So I really do appreciate you, and I know you'll stay tuned in, and I know that we'll still have beer summits frequently. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Mayor?
Yeah, that concludes my thoughts, so we'll move into council comments, and we'll start down there with Chief Davis.
Well, maybe all of us can, if we want to say something about Sean.
Joe, yeah.
This would be appropriate time for us to add comments, but
Turn it into a roast.
yeah, okay, I'll start that, no. Seriously, Sean has been through the fire department and through urban renewal and council business. Sean, you have been a strong supporter of public safety, both police and fire, and making our community safer. And you've never backed down from that. And your commitment to the city and to this council is huge, and I totally respect your decision in regards to family first. But like I said, we're friends and we always will be.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything now?
Well, likewise, before you got on council, we started to be friends. We did the 4th of July parade planning together, and that's kind of how we met. But yeah, the only thing that outmeasures your love for this town is your love for your girls, and all 3 of them. And I totally understand the decision, but you'll be missed at this role. But we'll still hang out. Like he said, whiskey summit. So
Absolutely.
good luck with you and your family.
I didn't get a whole lot of time to serve with you up here, but I knew you outside of this, and you're one of the people that got me into this. I appreciate you for it, and I know at times that this can be a little thankless, but I've never seen somebody as family orientated as you are, and the love that you have for your family is unmatched. But we are going to miss you, but we know where you live. We'll come see you.
So for me, I just want to thank you for all of the support and guidance that you have given to the city over the years. I know the situation that you find yourself in. I've had to weigh and make this decision before in the past, and so I can appreciate the gravity that this decision takes. And I just want to let you know that I know beautification of 99E has been a personal interest of yours. It is one of mine, and I will continue to carry that mantle into the future. So
Thank you.
I hope to stay in touch with you to pick your brain for the visions that you've had and continue to work, not necessarily behind the scenes, but as a citizen for that purpose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any words, Sean?
Oh, man. I love this city. I really, really do. It has been truly the honor of a lifetime to serve. So thank you, Canby, for trusting me to serve you and to help lead the city. I do love it, and I will be around. We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot over the last 4.5 years. We've been through a pandemic. We've been through so many things, fire, ice, we've seen it all, but I think that truly at the end of the day, no matter what, the thing that brings us all together is how much we love this city. And I will continue as a citizen to make this place a better place and maintain that small town charm that drew us here 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So thank you, Canby. Thank you, citizens. Thank you, staff. Thank you, council. It has been a fun ride, and I will just say that it's not a goodbye forever. I love this place so much. I'm sure I'll be back someday when life settles down a little bit, as I said in my resignation letter. But the only thing, as Council President Hensley mentioned, the only thing I love more is my family, and they need me right now. And I need them, and I need time with them, and that's what this is all about. So please don't listen to any of the rumors that might be spread over the next few days or weeks. It truly is a decision based on spending more time with family, and that is 100% the reason. So that's it, Sean.
Councilor Davis, you want to kick off council
I would love to.
reports?
Okay, thank you to Lisa Potter. The Park and Rec, she is our, does the minutes for the Park and Rec. But anyway, they met last night, and again, some people were missing due to vacations and fires and things like that. But anyway, with that said, I appreciate Barry Johnson for keeping the committee on task. They are continuing to work on Maple Street Park with the city, and the city administrator is doing a wonderful job and having staff move forward with the project. And so they are diligently moving forward with what needs to be done to get the turf done, as well as the lighting. And Don Hardy's working with the lighting company in regards to figuring out the fixtures and what type of lighting is going in there. Auburn Farms survey to the public has gone out to people that live around there and to receive input back from the community. Once that's done, they will hold a public meeting for that community up there on the renderings for Auburn Farm. Community Park, Phase 1 work is completed. They did pretty much the parking lot, and they put in some piping and things like that. The bathroom, right now, it looks like December before the new bathroom will arrive for Community Park. But they're ready to go as soon as the bathroom does arrive down there. So it's looking real well. And I might add too that it's already paid dividends by widening that parking down there. We had a near drowning last night. And again, it's up in the exact same area. The city's done a good job by putting a fence up, but they're going around the fence. And it's the exact same location every time where they upstream away, and that is not city property, by the way. They go upstream, and 3 17-year-olds went into a hole. And fortunately, there was a gentleman who was a lifeguard that heard the cries for help, went down there, helped pull 2 of the people out, and the third person was underwater, pulled that person out and started CPR, and paramedics arrived and they resuscitated the person. Our water rescue team brought the person down on a sled and to the ambulance and was transported in Meridian Park, and my understanding is doing fine. So just, fortunate that that lifeguard was within the area. But all we can do is urge people, please do not cross that fence line because the holes that are upriver do have currents in them. Even though it looks like it's low water, it's not. And so please, don't go upstream from Community Park because there are some dangerous locations up there. I've gone on 4 drownings now in the last 4 years up there. So, and it's at the exact same location. So please be safe around the river. But that concludes the Community Park. The outdoor exercise at Legacy Park is moving forward. In regards to the presentation that was made at the last council meeting by Patrick Sampson in regards to the athletic fields, they keep referring to the Molalla River State Park. I think people just have to understand that was a rendering that they came up with in the event that the Molalla River State Park became available. More importantly is Canby needs the athletic fields very, very badly. It's going to increase business. It's going to attract more young kids, and the people who live here want good athletic fields, but it's going to attract business for our downtown area as well. And so once we can get that in the motel in town, I think we're going to see substantial uptick in business for the downtown area. And it's going to make Canby that much more livable for kids to have decent fields to play on. But Patrick Sampson and the Oregon Youth Soccer Association is going to continue to move forward with presentations to the Chamber of Commerce, Rotary, Kiwanis. They're going to be presenting as much as we can, but we need community involvement. We need community involvement in this to help us try to locate property. Somebody will have the right property to make this happen. So we just have to continue to work on that. The Arts in the Park, again, Art-O-Matic is putting the art in the park. That was found right away, or the second week into the hiding of the art in the park. And the Park and Rec website is being worked on by the city and Ryan Potter in regards to the website for that as well. So thank you to the Park and Rec Committee. They're doing a wonderful job in regards to keeping their projects moving. The Adult Center, very short. Kathy was gone on vacation, so we didn't hold a monthly meeting. However, we do have a meeting with the city administrator, myself and Jerry Nalzine, with Kathy and Emery Construction to review the updated bid for doing the work up at the Adult Center this next week. And so Kathy's excited to make that happen. Thank you to Public Works. Their air conditioning continued to go out up at the Adult Center. I was there last Monday serving lunch, and it was hot. And I made a call to Jerry. Jerry instantly called Dustin, and Dustin had somebody there within an hour to, again, fix the air conditioning up at the Adult Center. They very much appreciated that. And then on the fire side, we talked about the community park and the safety at Community Park. The fire department did receive a state fire marshal grant to staff our substation out on Highway 170 with students for the summer for wildland firefighting. They didn't dream that they're going to be as busy as they are, but we had a multiple alarm fire with Aurora. Yesterday we had a 4-alarm fire with Molalla, and our brush unit with those students were on the initial alarm, followed up with additional crews from Canby on both of those large fires. All I can do is urge people that this is a very unique fire season. Grasses were high and the fuels are very dry. And as we're finding, this fire yesterday was right in the middle of Molalla in the downtown area by Biomart. And it endangered a retirement center, an apartment house, started a semi-trailer on fire. So it was a challenging fire, but it was all brought on by grass, just tall grass, and while they were mowing the grass, it caught fire. So, please be careful out there and pay attention to the burn bans that are in effect. Key to it too is when we get some east winds, you see the wind blowing, that's a good sign to really, be safe. I wouldn't even start barbecues or anything else once the wind starts blowing as dry as it is and with the humidities as low as they are. So the FML grant for that staffing has paid off. I had the opportunity to attend the chamber luncheon, and Jason was there as well. Also, President Hensley was there, and it was wonderful. It was 90-some people, and they were distributing the awards for the businesses around town, so congratulations to those award recipients. But it was a wonderful presentation, and again, congratulations to those people. That concludes my report.
Councilor Davis, when does so a survey was sent out, like a paper survey was sent out to the people around the Auburn Farms area?
Yes.
And when does that survey kind of close? And when do they anticipate the results?
I think it's online too.
Yeah, and it's
I
online.
think
You can fill that out online, maybe the city administrator
Yeah,
knows.
I think it's open for another week.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's open for another week, and then probably a month to collect or analyze the information that came in to report back.
Yeah, and then do some renderings.
Okay. And then regarding Community Park, you said that was kind of where the people were kind of cutting go into the river was not on our property.
It is not on our property.
Do we have signage there that says?
The city's put up barricades and a fence. They actually either take the fence down, but the fence was up, or they just go around the fence or over the fence.
Counselor Davis, I'm sorry. We were just there just recently, and I had to call my kid back because they had gone too far down. The fencing was not up.
Is it not up?
It was not up.
Okay. Yeah, the crews yesterday said that they had put some barricades up there to stop people, and that there was one area where the fence was there. The one that is down by the river is missing, but they just keep taking that down. They just push it over.
Well, I think the biggest thing is as well is they don't have to walk the path up. They're walking through the river and just going up anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing is it's low enough. They're able to walk up it and then get to the other side and walk even further because a lot of them try to go down to the rope swing and whatnot down there.
So, yeah, okay. I mean, if we could maybe check in with Public Works about if there's if there's damage that we can get repaired or if there's something more we need to do.
Yep.
And it's
Will do.
unfortunate. It could have been a major tragedy. So would like to do what we can to block that stuff off.
Yep,
I
made a
know
note.
total buzzkill, but safety first. So. Awesome. Thank you, Councilor Davis. Councilor Farwick.
Yeah, I don't have a liaison report tonight, but I am excited to know that if the wind is blowing, my wife should not ask me to mow my grass. So thank you for that. Wind's blowing, honey.
Chief says it can.
Chief Davis says so, yeah.
There's a breeze. I should
Coming from the east, no grass tonight. Yeah, so, no, I'll just say one more time, just how grateful I am to have had the opportunity to serve and thank this wonderful community and look forward to seeing you around at events.
Perfect. Council President Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a lot to report. As you mentioned, C4 didn't have a meeting this month. Yes, I agree with Councilor Davis that the chamber luncheon was very well attended, and it was nice to see people who don't normally come in. So congratulations to all the Best of Canby winners. And one of them across the street won 3 awards. Yep. That was pretty amazing. I also went to the ribbon cutting for Jarbo's earlier this week, and tomorrow, or actually I guess it was late last week, and then tomorrow we have another one. If you can make it back to town, we're going to test this line at 5 o'clock. So yeah, lots of stuff happening in business. And so Traffic Safety Commission submitted 3 letters to our city administrator. I'm hoping that you've received this. Okay. I just wanted to let the colleagues know what they entail. One of them is addressed to her in regards to the truck route signage on Knightsbridge and Arndt Road. And the fact that the signage is not adequate for keeping people from coming all the way up and crossing the bridge. So they have maps and everything that they're suggesting.
You're talking about like the larger semis.
Correct. So like the one that they're suggesting there's one before Barlow that basically says trucks must turn right, so that because that's their last chance to not go across the bridge. So basically, what they're looking for is advocacy with the county, and so they wrote that to Eileen and also Don Hardy and Jerry Nozine and myself because I'm the liaison. The other letter is in regards to the light on intersection at 13th and Ivy, being that the timing is not well and there's no left turn lane, and so they're just trying to alleviate the backups in that area, then people also diverting into the neighborhood to avoid that intersection. Again, advocacy with the county.
Wait, from which direction are we talking? Are they coming down Ivy or are they coming up 13th? And 13th.
I'll read this paragraph. Traffic Safety Commission is asking the city administrator and city council to consider actively encouraging Clackamas County to change the current traffic light control pattern at the intersection of South 13th Street and South Ivy to include a dedicated left turn from both approaches of South 13th onto Ivy.
Oh, I got.
Because right now it's a yield.
Yeah, it's a yield.
Right now it's a
left
yield,
turn
so
off of
backs up.
13th to.
And then
Gotcha.
Dinsmore is getting a lot of diversion traffic. And the third one is also in the same intersection area. They're advocating for Clackamas County to change the speed limit on that portion of roadway. And for Canby Police to enforce a new speed limit when it does get enacted if it does. The current speed from the bridge entering Canby going north to South 18th is 50 miles per hour and drops to 40 at 18th, continues to be 40 until just shortly before 13th and Ivy. So they're proposing that it's reduced to 30 miles an hour from the bridge north. So all three of these are positions that they have taken, that they are enlisting help with advocacy with the county. And that's all I have. And if anybody wants to read the entire letter, email me and I'll send it to you.
Actually, will you just
I
send
can
them
just
out
send
to the
them out.
council?
I'll
That'd be
do
great. And then maybe we can have discussion on what that advocacy piece may look like. Because that's something that I think we should be pushing onto the Board of County Commissioners. If we can't get any traction with the transportation group at the county. So, okay.
Hopefully we can. I used to work in that department, so we'll see.
You know some people there, huh?
Yeah.
Eileen will-
Hopefully between Eileen and Jerry, they can just get it done.
Eileen will just lean into them a little bit. The speed coming into town. Okay. Councilor Maldonado.
I have nothing to report at this moment. They have been, bikes and pedestrians been postponed until August. However, I would like to extend a thank you to Councilor Davis and all your guys for the firefighters. Just please be careful out there. Thank you.
Councilor Patton.
Yes.
He's got a long list.
I know he does.
I've been writing feverishly over here to help extend this
saw you.
meeting so that the community can get its money's worth out of us, city councilors. So anyways,
Money's worth.
let's go ahead and let's get this last hoorah for Sean started. Anyways, for Canby Utility, we had a fantastic meeting. The water master plan continues to draw to its completion and may actually be in. I will know more at our next meeting. There was some weird power outages and fluctuations a few weeks ago. You may remember, you probably don't. I had mentioned something about Canby Utility was going to be having the substations inspections done on them, and they were going to be having to phase power through the various parts of the substation. Everything was going well until they got to a certain section of it, and they were doing it on a very hot day. And it started to cause problems. And as they tried to fix that problem, it started causing problems elsewhere. And in the process of trying to put everything back to normal, it screwed things up some more. So unfortunately, they wish that it wouldn't have happened, but it's actually now identified some problems in the system that they didn't really know existed. And so they're going to be hardening the system to help prevent that for the future. The mayor and I, as well as Chair Thompson, are going to be interviewing an individual who applied for the open position on the Canby Utility Board tomorrow evening. And so you will hear more about that at an upcoming meeting. And I will be tagging along with the Canby Utility folks on a tour of the brand new Wilsonville water treatment plant on Friday to see what that sort of looks like. As I've mentioned before as well, and will continue to mention, from this master plan will come the realization that the city of Canby is going to need to build a new water treatment plant within the next 10 years. And the price tag is higher than you might think. I'm going to start sowing the seed that you are thinking of a number high, so that when it comes in where it needs to be, you'll think it's low. So that's where that's at.
3 digits and billions.
Not billions, but it's going to be expensive. So anyways, school board, the new school board met. 2 members were sworn in, but one was missing because of flight delays and cancellations. They were not able to get back in town, and they were not able to get them online because they were doing the meeting in a separate room, not in their normal format. And then they chose Sarah Magenheimer was chosen to serve as chair again, and Director Shelley Vissers was chosen as vice chair. And they talked about goals and getting people onboarded and working towards the next projects that the school board is going to be focusing on when they start their new meetings. The next thing is, we had a work session earlier tonight, and we were talking about the city administrator recruitment position, and the question about phasing that with the city attorney came up, and there was some concerns as to whether we could talk about that. I did look into it. The last time we talked about it, both positions were mentioned, but it was in old business during our normal agenda. I still think that we probably could have talked about it, so I am going to make a formal request that in the future, whenever we post that we are going to talk about the city administrator recruitment, that we also post the attorney, so that way that is covered as well, and we won't have to worry about getting in trouble.
Done.
Throw some other things I just wanted to throw out is this weekend on Saturday is Through the Looking Glass, which is an art event that will be happening here in Canby. Something I missed from last time is I did get a chance to attend the Canby Pride event as well, and I talked to some folks down there, and they said everything went very well. Apparently there was Canby Police, thank you to Canby Police for their presence down there to make sure everything stayed civil and everybody felt safe. Apparently there was one truck that drove by and yelled obscenities and slurs at the group, which is unfortunate but not unexpected, but luckily that was the only incident. So I'm glad all those folks were safe and were able to participate there in the park. I did attend the chamber luncheon, which was great. One thing I will call out in tandem to everything else is that the city did a presentation about the comprehensive plan that's coming up. And so for folks, we really need your input on this process as citizens of Canby and as business owners in Canby. There's a very short survey. You can access it from the website. It's on the main page. There's like different things you can scroll through on the main page. If you click on, it's listed on there. And if you click on that, it takes you to the survey. You also, in your water or in your sewer and maintenance bills, you would have received a flyer for that with a QR code that you can scan and get right into that survey. So please do participate in that survey. It is going to help shape the city for the next 20 years. So we want as much input as possible. Let me just see here. Homepage, yep. And then one thing, Councilor Davis had mentioned this about Kogio coming and doing the presentation. After I got home and was thinking about things, I would like to add just one thing, if it could be passed on to that group to maybe consider when they present information to us again, is for a facility of that size, what would the staffing, I didn't see it in there and I may have missed it, but what would the staffing be for a facility of that size, and just like maintaining it when it's not being used? And then what that peak staffing would look like when it is being used? How many like people would be needed? And then what the salary cost overall would be for those sort of staffing levels, so that we can start to really drill down on how much that would actually impact us, what we would need to look at for future budgeting cycles for maintaining that. And I think that that's it for me.
Councilor Patton, a couple of questions for you. So
Right?
is the school board changed from 2 meetings a month to 1 a month?
Well, they technically do, I think they're going to be fleshing that out, but technically they do one meeting. They have a regular meeting, which is the beginning of the month, and then they have a work session in the second half of the month.
Okay.
And the work sessions, I have never attended the work sessions. I attend the regular meetings to get a download of that information, but I made it very clear to the chair that they are their own governing body, and I did not really feel comfortable attending those work sessions because I did not want to feel that I was putting any undue pressure on them, not that they felt that. But yeah, so that's how the school board works, is the first, and it looks like they are proposing to stick to that same schedule moving forward with only a few changes with holidays. But they're gonna vote on that at the next school board meeting, whether they're gonna keep that same schedule.
And do you have anything to report regarding the completion of the high school addition?
No, they didn't talk about that. So
Okay.
I know they're continuing along. I know that they plan on having it done for folks to move into it. I have reached out to the chair to set up another meeting because I met with her when I first came on council, and I thought it would be good if we met every once in a while just to make sure if she had any questions of me and such. So now that they've made the decision of who that's going to be, I've reached out to Ms. Magenheimer, and we're going to get something on the calendar in the next couple of months, and I can ask that question.
And this may be a comment, but something for you, and maybe you can confirm too, that fireworks for the high school may be back on, starting here in the fall.
Okay.
So, and that's,
Because of the fields.
well, there has been some conversation about where they would be able to launch the fireworks from, and Chief, you may be able to add to this, but based on where they would set them up, it enables them to do the fireworks. So I also am involved on the Canby Youth Football Association board, and that came up as a conversation piece that that looks like that those would be returning here in the fall.
That's
Chief
correct.
Davis? Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah. So since we're talking schools, I thought I would layer that in there as a piece. So
Okay.
great. Well, thank you. Anything else, Councilor Patton?
No, that's it for me.
Great. Madam City Administrator.
Mayor and Council, I have a couple of items to report. First item is, I just wanted to point out on page 18 of the council packet starts the staff reports. And I just wanted you, if you could get there, to just look at the number of recruitments and new hires that we're undergoing right now. And I really just want to give a shout out to Teresa Spellman, who has been managing all of those recruitments. And she's just been doing a great job. So we just have a lot of recruitments, new positions or positions that just need to be filled, and she's been doing an excellent job. So just wanted to give a shout out to her on that. The other thing is, I know that there has been some concern about the bus parking on Third Court. And I did talk with Todd about that today, the only way this could be done, and I sent an email to you all, so hopefully you received it today, but I guess, I will say, if you have any questions at all about that email, then let me know. But there are two, there's the dentist office and then the doctor's office, and the transit district feels that, that in order to provide good customer service and drop people off at the front door, they have to go on to that court occasionally. So Todd just feels that, if he can be provided with, a date and time that a bus is there, he can track that down and see what happened. But putting a municipal lot on the extra lot is not going to solve the problem of providing timely service to the doctors and dentist's office. So just wanted to let you know.
I have that information that you are seeking. I have, and will send to you.
Great.
Yep.
Please do. Mm-hmm.
Councilor Davis, you okay? Just check. Anything else?
No.
No. Okay. Next on the agenda is the second opportunity for citizen input. Any citizens wish to opine? Seeing none, we will do action review.
You've approved the consent agenda and adopted ordinance 1606.
Great. Thank you, Maya. And again, before I take a motion to adjourn, again, soon to be former Councilor Warwick, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I move to adjourn.
I was gonna say, I'll let him move. I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting, and you know, it's non-debatable. All those in favor?
Aye, farewell, Canby.
Nay, one
Knew it would
nay.
happen eventually.
I was hoping you would do that. All right, Canby, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Have a good night,
Have a good
everybody.
night.